Streaming TV show provider Netflix is under fire for hosting content accused of romanticizing suicide. The US Parents Television Council has written to the platform demanding it justify hosting the series 13 Reasons Why, about a teenager who kills herself amid reports the show is encouraging people to take their own life.
Settle in, because I'm about to tell you the story of my life. More specifically, why my life ended. And if you're listening to this tape, you're one of the reasons why.
The council argues that the show should be axed in the interests of children's mental health and safety. Earlier, activists started a petition also calling for it to be pulled. However, a third season is poised for release. The council points out that the first season reportedly helped drive a 26% increase in Google searches for how to kill yourself. And according to the US National Institute of Mental Health, since the show's release, the teen suicide rate spiked by over a quarter too. Netflix says it's examining the research and will address the issue. We discuss the show's potential for harm with Julia Rivera, editorial director for reactionarytimes.com, and Mark Rutherford, a licensed psychotherapist.
Can a show inspire someone to commit suicide? Well, yes and no. Maybe it does, but these are children that are probably obviously suffering with a lot, obviously they're either dealing with some personal issues in their life, God knows if there's abuse, sexual abuse, bullying, other kinds of issues, and people are tying it to the program.
The problem is that they did kind of, they glamorized it. They were kind of romanticized this idea behind it. So even though the message was, there's always help, it will get better, turn to those who you love. The piece behind it was kind of, kids when they see these kind of things, they don't have the frontal lobe isn't developed. Their executive functioning. They can't understand this idea of it gets better. What it is in that moment is what they feel it will always be. And so I think there were a lot of kids that kind of ramped on to the energy of that. I also we have to give the responsibility on this, put the onus on the parents. I think parents have to be more involved in the lives of their children. They need to communicate more. I think that kids are growing up nowadays with a completely different set of pressures. The suicide rate did go up after the show. That piece of the damage was done because this kind of glamorous product was put out there. The parents are there in the show, the guidance counselors are there in the show, and no one's talking, and which is the way it is in the real world. When I see teenagers in my practice, it takes 2, 3, sometimes 4, 5, 6 sessions for them to really open up and tell me anything.
These are all things that have to be monitored better by parents. Any decisions that they make, for Netflix to take this show down will be their own internal decision, and it'll be driven by the market, quite frankly. I mean, if people start boycotting Netflix because they have this show on, then at that point it'll become a financial decision, and then they'll probably remove it for that reason.
And I see a lot of teenagers in my practice, and in the couple of weeks after that show dropped on Netflix, it was every teenager that sat on my couch talked about. And some of the teenagers hated it, some of them loved it, but what it did is that it sparked discussion. And it wasn't about guidance counselors or teachers telling them about what they should think or what they should feel. The teenagers were talking with each other, and they were kind of talking. I call it teen speak. They were talking to each other, teenagers to teenagers, about a subject matter that oftentimes is just kind of swept under the rug. So in my opinion, that was the biggest value of that show. It generated a discussion. Yes, it's a slippery slope. It could go either way. But I think we have to also put faith in our teenagers. They're wanting to understand this as much as we as adults are.